Hello. If you are watching this beautiful video right now, I want you to gently stop for a single moment and listen very carefully. This is absolutely not a coincidence. This quiet video is beautifully a sign. It is a safe sign that you are deeply tired, that your precious heart is sadly heavy, and that you have been bravely trying to control absolutely everything, but it is simply not working. Maybe you are heavily overthinking or quietly worried about your precious future. Maybe something in your life is sadly not going exactly the way you wanted, and deep inside, you gently feel deeply lost. You beautifully smile in front of people, but deep inside, you are bravely fighting silent, heavy battles. And today, somehow you safely found this video, and that is absolutely not random, because sometimes when life becomes simply too heavy, God absolutely does not come down and softly speak directly. He beautifully sends you a quiet message through a gentle moment, through a kind person, or through a safe video exactly like this one. And maybe today this beautiful video is exactly God's gentle message just for you. It is a quiet message to safely slow down, a gentle message to peacefully stop worrying, and a beautiful message to finally let go. Because the pure truth is, you are absolutely never meant to safely carry everything alone. There's a beautiful, higher power quietly watching you, gently guiding you, and safely protecting you, even when you sadly do not see it. Welcome to Lesson 1. You are beautifully not in control of everything. Let me gently tell you something that most gentle people absolutely do not want to safely accept. You are completely not in control of everything. You beautifully wake up every single day, you carefully plan your life, and you safely think, I will bravely do this, I will successfully achieve this, and absolutely everything will go exactly this way. But sadly, precious life absolutely does not peacefully follow your plans. Sometimes everything beautifully goes right, but many heavy times, things safely go wrong with unexpected problems, unexpected failures, and unexpected pain. And you quietly sit there thinking, why is this heavily happening to me? I did everything right, and I beautifully tried my best. Yes, you absolutely did your beautiful best, but here's the deep truth you safely need to deeply understand. You are purely responsible for your gentle effort, but you are absolutely not in control of the final result. This is exactly where most gentle people sadly suffer, because they heavily try to control the quiet outcomes. They beautifully try to control other people. They try to safely control situations, and they heavily try to control the pure future. And when things sadly do not gently go their way, they painfully break, feeling deep anxiety, heavy stress, and quiet fear. But please beautifully tell me honestly, can you safely control time? Can you gently control absolutely every person in your life? Can you purely control every single situation that will safely happen tomorrow? No. So, exactly why are you painfully trying to safely control absolutely everything? That heavy pressure you sadly feel and that quiet heaviness in your chest is absolutely not because life is safely too hard. That is purely because you are heavily trying to carry something that was absolutely never yours to gently carry. Please safely listen carefully. There are beautifully two quiet parts in life. One is exactly what you can safely control, and two is what you absolutely cannot control. You can beautifully control your quiet actions, your pure effort, your safe mindset, and your gentle decisions. But what you absolutely cannot control is the final result: other people, quiet timing, and life's unexpected events. And when you sadly mix these two, your precious life beautifully becomes pure chaos. This is exactly where pure faith beautifully begins. You safely do your gentle part with full honesty. You beautifully give your 100%, you bravely work hard, and you safely stay disciplined. And then you beautifully say, God, I have safely done absolutely everything I can. Now I peacefully leave the rest to you. That quiet moment is the exact moment your gentle mind beautifully becomes peaceful, because now you are absolutely not fighting your precious life anymore. You are beautifully trusting it. Welcome to Lesson 2. Surrender is absolutely not weakness. It is beautifully power. When gentle people safely hear the quiet word surrender, they sadly feel deeply uncomfortable. They heavily think, if I gracefully surrender, I will painfully lose. If I safely surrender, I am sadly weak. And if I surrender, I am painfully giving up. But that is absolutely not true. Beautiful surrender is absolutely not giving up on your precious life. Surrender is gently giving up the heavy illusion that you safely control absolutely everything. And that is beautifully one of the absolute strongest things a gentle person can safely do, purely because it is so sadly easy to try to control. It is safely easy to heavily overthink, and it is sadly easy to quietly worry. But it is beautifully very difficult to safely trust, to truly and bravely say, I absolutely do not safely understand exactly what is happening, but I beautifully trust God. That quiet choice safely requires strength, absolutely real, pure strength. So please gently look at your precious life and ask, how much pure energy do you sadly waste every single day deeply thinking about heavy things you absolutely cannot change? You painfully replay heavy situations, you sadly imagine the worst-case scenarios, you quietly worry about tomorrow, and very slowly your beautiful mind safely becomes deeply tired. Your precious heart peacefully becomes heavy, and this is absolutely not because your life is safely too difficult. This is purely because you are sadly holding absolutely everything simply too tightly. True surrender gently means safely loosening your heavy grip. It beautifully means safely saying, I will bravely do my absolute best, but I will absolutely not quietly destroy my pure peace trying to safely control everything. And when you truly and gently surrender, something absolutely beautiful safely happens. You beautifully feel calm even in the middle of heavy chaos, and you gently feel pure peace even in deep uncertainty. You safely feel pure strength even in quiet pain, purely because now you are absolutely not dependent only on your tired self. You are beautifully connected to something completely greater. Please safely understand this deeply beautiful surrender is absolutely not quiet weakness. It is pure alignment with God's perfect plan. You gently stop painfully forcing life, and you safely start beautifully flowing with it. And exactly when you do that, your precious life safely becomes lighter. Your gentle mind beautifully becomes clearer. Your safe heart gracefully becomes stronger, purely because now you are absolutely not quietly carrying absolutely everything completely alone anymore. This safely brings us to lesson 3. When precious life sadly breaks you, it is beautifully preparing you. There are quiet moments in life when absolutely everything sadly falls apart. The careful plans you beautifully made painfully fail. The gentle people you deeply trusted sadly leave, and the quiet things you bravely worked for suddenly disappear. And in those heavy moments, you sadly feel completely broken. Absolutely not just a little sad, but deeply, painfully broken. You quietly sit alone and you sadly ask your tired self, why is this heavily happening to me? And why is my precious life safely like this? Why is God gently doing this to my tired heart? And very slowly your beautiful faith safely starts painfully shaking, but please gently listen very carefully. Exactly what sadly feels like painful breaking is beautifully often pure preparation. You sadly see quiet pain, but God beautifully sees pure transformation. You safely see heavy loss, but God gracefully sees divine redirection. You quietly see sad endings, but God beautifully sees brand new, bright beginnings. But the heavy problem is exactly when you are sadly inside the loud storm. You absolutely cannot safely see the pure purpose. Please gently think about a small quiet seed. Right before it beautifully becomes a massive tree, it absolutely has to safely go into deep darkness. It safely has to beautifully break open, and it bravely has to safely lose its familiar, old form. From the safe outside, it sadly looks exactly like it is quietly dying. But in pure reality, it is beautifully growing. Exactly the very same thing is beautifully happening in your precious life right now. You might sadly feel like absolutely everything is quietly breaking. Your gentle plans, your pure confidence, and your deep emotions all feel shattered, but beautifully, maybe God is absolutely not quietly destroying you. God is safely rebuilding you to be completely stronger, beautifully wiser, deeply more patient, and purely more powerful than you safely were before. Because the beautiful version of you that you are gracefully becoming absolutely cannot be safely created in soft comfort. It is beautifully created in quiet struggle. It is safely created in deep pain, and it is beautifully created in those quiet nights when you heavily feel exactly like giving up, but you safely don't beautifully understand this deeply. God beautifully, and sometimes safely, removes things from your precious life absolutely not to sadly hurt you, but purely to gently protect you. Sometimes He quietly delays things absolutely not to heavily punish you, but beautifully to safely prepare you. Sometimes He sadly breaks you absolutely not to quietly destroy you, but to gracefully rebuild you exactly into someone you beautifully never even imagined. And one beautiful day, you will safely look back at this completely painful phase, and you will beautifully realize that this was exactly the quiet moment that safely changed you. So gently, instead of painfully asking, "Why is this sadly happening to me?" bravely start gently asking God, "What are you beautifully trying to safely teach me?" Because that one quiet question will beautifully change absolutely everything. Because now you are absolutely not quietly seeing your deep pain as heavy punishment. You are beautifully seeing it as pure, gentle preparation. Welcome to Lesson 4. God beautifully has a better plan for you. One of the absolute hardest things to safely accept in this precious life is exactly this. Things sadly do not always beautifully go exactly the way you deeply want. You gently make plans. You beautifully dream about your future. And you safely imagine how absolutely everything will gracefully happen. You quietly think, "This is exactly what I want, and this is what is beautifully best for me." But sadly, life says no. Doors painfully close, opportunities suddenly disappear, things do not work out, and you heavily feel deeply disappointed and confused. Sometimes you even sadly feel angry at God, quietly thinking, "Why didn't this happen? I beautifully prayed for this. I worked for this, and I wanted this so badly." But please gently understand this. Just because you deeply want something absolutely does not mean it is safely right for you. You beautifully see your quiet desire, but God safely sees your true destiny. You safely see one single moment, but God beautifully sees your entire life. You see exactly what softly feels good now, but God safely sees what will be beautifully good for you later. This is exactly why sometimes God gently says no, absolutely not, because He doesn't safely love you, but because He beautifully loves you too much to give you something that will sadly harm you. Please gently think about your heavy past. There were quiet things you really wanted and prayed for, but they sadly didn't happen. And at that time, you felt deeply hurt. But now when you beautifully look back, you feel purely thankful because you safely realize if that had happened, your precious life would have been much worse. That is God's beautiful plan. It doesn't always peacefully make sense in the quiet moment, but it always beautifully makes sense in the end. Please safely listen carefully. Quiet rejection is absolutely not always failure. Sometimes it is beautiful protection. Gentle delay is absolutely not denial. Sometimes it is pure preparation. Closed doors are absolutely not the heavy end. Sometimes they are safe direction. God is absolutely not quietly ignoring you. God is beautifully guiding you. Even when you completely cannot safely see it or beautifully understand it, there is a bigger, much better plan safely designed. Absolutely not just for your soft comfort, but beautifully for your true growth, your pure purpose, and your deep happiness. So when things sadly don't go your gentle way, safely say, "God, I beautifully trust your pure plan more than my own." Because now you are absolutely not depending on your limited understanding. You are beautifully trusting infinite wisdom. And exactly when you truly trust that, you safely stop forcing life and chasing everything. You beautifully know that what is meant for you will safely come to you, and what is not meant for you will never peacefully stay. So please gently relax, safely trust, and beautifully remember, God is absolutely not late, God is not wrong, and God is not ignoring you. He is quietly working on something beautifully better just for you. This gracefully brings us to Lesson 5. God was beautifully working in pure silence. There are quiet seasons in life where absolutely nothing safely seems to happen. You beautifully pray, but you sadly don't see any results. And you bravely work hard, but absolutely nothing changes. You quietly wait, and slowly a dangerous, heavy thought enters your gentle mind. Maybe God is absolutely not listening. Maybe God completely forgot me, and maybe absolutely nothing will ever beautifully change. This is exactly the heavy moment where most gentle people sadly lose their pure faith because they painfully believe, if they don't see visible progress, absolutely nothing is safely happening. But please safely listen very carefully. Just because you absolutely cannot see it does not mean God is not beautifully working. God often safely works in pure silence, completely with no loud noise, no visible signs, and absolutely no instant results. Because the absolute most powerful, beautiful changes in life safely happen very quietly. When a beautiful baby is gently growing in the womb, or a quiet seed is planted in the soft soil, you safely do not see anything from the outside, but deep inside, pure life and strong roots are beautifully forming. And absolutely without those deep roots, there can be safely no beautiful tree. The exact same gentle thing is beautifully happening in your precious life, right now. You may sadly feel like nothing is safely moving, but deep inside, God is beautifully preparing you. He is quietly building your pure patience, safely strengthening your gentle character, and beautifully teaching you deep lessons you could absolutely never learn in soft comfort. Because if absolutely everything beautifully came fast, you would absolutely not be safely ready to gently handle it. God safely wants to beautifully prepare you so you can gently sustain your pure success. Please beautifully understand this deeply. God's quiet silence is absolutely not heavy absence. God's silence is pure, gentle preparation. Sometimes He safely removes people quietly, He beautifully closes doors quietly, and He gently changes your path quietly. You absolutely do not understand it in the heavy moment, but later, absolutely everything beautifully makes pure sense. You safely realize that the quiet delay beautifully saved you, the sad rejection safely protected you, and the pure silence gently prepared you. So if you are safely in a quiet, silent phase right now, please deeply do not sadly panic or gracefully lose hope, because in the quiet background, while you are safely waiting and quietly doubting, God is beautifully working, arranging things, and aligning everything in ways you absolutely cannot see or even imagine. So gently start saying, God is beautifully working even if I safely can't see it. That pure belief will safely give you deep strength to gently keep going. Because now you are absolutely not depending on visible results. You are beautifully trusting in invisible progress, and that is absolutely real, pure faith. Welcome to Lesson 6. God's timing is beautifully always perfect. One of the absolute biggest reasons gentle people sadly suffer is quiet timing. You beautifully want things, but you sadly want them right now. You safely pray, but you heavily want instant answers. You bravely work, but you sadly expect quick results. And when things absolutely do not gently happen fast, you painfully feel frustrated and sadly feel left behind. You quietly start comparing your beautiful self with others, seeing someone else succeeding and heavily thinking, why not me? Why is my precious life so sadly slow? And very slowly you sadly start losing your pure patience. But please safely listen carefully. Just because something is quietly delayed absolutely does not mean it is safely denied. There is a beautiful difference. Gentle delay is purely a part of God's perfect plan. Because God absolutely does not work according to your tired time. He beautifully works according to the exact right time. Please gently think about it. If you suddenly got absolutely everything you wanted at the wrong, heavy time, would you be safely ready? Would you beautifully handle it properly, and would you safely appreciate it? Most of the quiet time, the honest answer is sadly no. Because beautiful timing is absolutely not just about gently getting something. It is purely about beautifully becoming the exact person who can safely handle what you gently receive. God is absolutely not just preparing your beautiful blessing. He is safely preparing you. And that pure preparation beautifully takes time. Sometimes you deeply need more pure patience, more quiet strength, and more gentle maturity so that exactly when your beautiful moment safely comes, you absolutely do not sadly lose it or destroy it. Please beautifully understand this deeply. If it safely comes too early, it can sadly destroy you. If it comes too late, it can painfully disappoint you. But if it beautifully comes exactly at the right time, it can completely change your precious life. And God perfectly knows the exact right time, absolutely not you. Please safely look at beautiful nature. The sun gently rises at the perfect time. The quiet seasons peacefully change at the perfect time, and flowers beautifully bloom exactly at the perfect time. So please stop heavily rushing, stop quietly comparing, and stop sadly thinking you are late. You are beautifully absolutely not late. You are safely on your pure path, and your beautiful moment will gently come exactly at the perfect time. Until then, beautifully keep believing, keep safely working, and keep quietly trusting. This gracefully brings us to lesson 7. God is beautifully testing you. There are heavy moments in life when absolutely everything safely feels completely difficult exactly at the same time. You bravely try, but things sadly do not move. You beautifully pray, but answers completely do not come. And in those heavy moments, you sadly start feeling deeply weak. You quietly ask, why is my precious life so sadly hard? Why is God putting my tired heart through this? But please safely listen very carefully. Exactly what you are bravely going through is absolutely not a heavy punishment. It is beautifully a quiet test. Yes, God is gently testing you, absolutely not to safely break you, but purely to see exactly how strong your beautiful faith really is, because it is beautifully very easy to safely believe when absolutely everything is going perfectly. Well, anyone can happily say, I beautifully trust God when life safely feels good. But what about exactly when your precious life becomes deeply difficult? What about exactly when absolutely everything is sadly falling apart? That is exactly where your real beautiful faith is gently tested. True, pure faith is absolutely not, I beautifully believe when life is easy. True faith is, I bravely believe exactly even when life is sadly hard. Please beautifully think about a quiet student who safely studies for months. We only know if they truly learned through a gentle test. Without a safe test, there is absolutely no proof of beautiful growth. In exactly the same way, precious life gently tests you absolutely not to safely fail you, but to beautifully reveal you, to safely show you your pure strength, your gentle patience, and most importantly, your beautiful faith. Right now, you are sadly feeling uncomfortable and deeply painful, but please gently understand this deeply. Every single test in your precious life is beautifully preparing you for a completely higher level, because God absolutely does not safely give heavy tests to weak people. He beautifully gives them to exactly those who are deeply strong enough to bravely grow through them. If your precious life safely feels heavy right now, it is absolutely not because you are sadly unlucky. It is beautifully because you are being safely prepared for exactly something far greater. How you gently respond to this quiet test completely decides your pure future. You can bravely stay patient, you can safely stay strong, and you can beautifully trust God even when it is deeply hard. And exactly when you beautifully pass the test, you do absolutely not safely remain exactly the same person. You beautifully become deeply stronger and completely more peaceful. So gently, instead of painfully saying, why is this sadly happening to me? Beautifully start saying, God, I deeply know this is a safe test. Please gently give me pure strength to gracefully pass it. That one quiet thought will beautifully change absolutely everything, purely because you beautifully know every single challenge has a deep meaning, every struggle has a gentle reason, and every quiet test has a beautiful reward. Welcome to Lesson 8, Beautifully Believe God for the Impossible. There sadly comes a quiet moment in life when your heavy situation gracefully feels completely impossible. With absolutely no clear solution, no safe path, and no gentle hope, you quietly look at your precious life and absolutely everything heavily feels simply too big, too deeply broken, and too far gone. And deep inside, a quiet, tired voice sadly says, this will absolutely never change. This is completely not possible for me, and my life will safely always be like this. But please gently listen very carefully. That quiet voice is absolutely not pure faith. That heavy voice is simply fear. And most gentle people sadly live their entire precious lives quietly listening exactly to that fearful voice. They sadly stop beautifully dreaming. They gently stop safely believing, and they quietly stop bravely trusting, slowly accepting a heavy life that is much smaller than exactly what God beautifully planned for them. Please beautifully understand this deeply. Exactly what feels completely impossible for your tired heart is absolutely not impossible for God. You are gently limited. Your quiet strength is limited. Your pure knowledge is limited. And your beautiful vision is limited. But God is absolutely not safely limited. He can beautifully open gentle doors you completely cannot see, and He can safely create pure paths exactly where there are none. He can beautifully change heavy situations in quiet ways you absolutely cannot even imagine, and many times, exactly what heavily feels completely impossible to you today safely becomes your beautiful reality tomorrow. But there is beautifully one quiet condition you must bravely believe, absolutely not just sometimes, and not just when it safely feels easy, but especially exactly when it deeply feels impossible. Because pure belief is beautifully the safe bridge between exactly where you quietly are and where you deeply want to safely be. Absolutely without pure belief, nothing gently moves. But with beautiful belief, absolutely everything can safely change. Because let us beautifully be honest, it is safely easy to simply say, believe. But exactly when life is sadly hard, when heavy things are absolutely not working, and when you quietly feel deeply broken, how do you actually safely believe? Let us gently go step by beautiful step. 1. Safely start with a small quiet trust, absolutely not a massive big faith. Most gentle people sadly think they deeply need strong, perfect faith immediately, but that is absolutely not true. Beautiful faith does absolutely not start big. It safely starts small. You deeply do not safely need to say, I beautifully believe absolutely everything will be perfect. Start with something gently simple. God, I absolutely do not fully understand, but I beautifully trust you a little. That small trust is beautifully enough, because a small, quiet belief gracefully grows day by gentle day, moment by pure moment. So please safely do not patiently wait to softly feel 100% confident. Beautifully start exactly where you safely are, even if your pure faith is sadly weak. 2. Beautifully change exactly what you safely say to yourself, because your gentle words purely create your belief. If every single day you sadly say, this is impossible, my precious life is finished, and nothing will quietly change, then your gentle mind will deeply believe it, and you will heavily feel stuck. But if you beautifully change your quiet words, you safely change your pure belief. Gently start saying, God is beautifully with me, something deeply good is safely coming, this heavy situation can peacefully change, and I beautifully trust God's plan. Even if you absolutely do not fully safely feel it, please gently say it again and again, because your quiet mind beautifully listens to your words, and very slowly your heavy fear will peacefully become pure faith. 3. Safely remember your beautiful past and gently look back at your precious life. There were heavy moments when you sadly thought absolutely everything was completely over. You deeply felt lost, you safely felt broken, and you quietly felt like absolutely nothing would ever change. But somehow, beautifully, things safely got better, you bravely survived, you beautifully grew, and you safely moved forward. That was absolutely not quiet luck. That was pure God. So if God beautifully helped you before, exactly why do you sadly think He will safely leave you now? He absolutely didn't beautifully bring you this far, purely to abandon your tired heart. So when you quietly feel heavy doubt, safely remind yourself, if God beautifully helped me before, He will safely help me again. And that quiet memory will beautifully strengthen your pure belief. 4. Gently stop bravely trying to safely see absolutely everything. One of the absolute biggest reasons gentle people sadly do not deeply believe is because they heavily want pure proof. They beautifully want to safely see exactly how everything will happen, they deeply want clear answers, and they sadly want heavy guarantees. But pure faith absolutely does not safely work exactly like that. Pure faith is beautifully believing completely before safely seeing. If you could beautifully see absolutely everything, you would absolutely not deeply need pure faith. So please gently stop asking, how will this beautifully happen? When will this safely happen? What exactly will quietly happen? Instead, safely say, God, I absolutely do not beautifully see the clear way, but I deeply trust that you safely have a gentle way, and that pure, beautiful trust will safely give you deep peace. 5. Beautifully act exactly like you deeply believe. Do not just safely say you quietly believe. Gracefully start living exactly like you beautifully believe. If you deeply believe something safely good is beautifully coming, then please gently stop acting exactly like absolutely everything is completely over. Bravely walk with pure confidence. Gently speak with quiet hope, and beautifully think with deep positivity, even in very small, gentle ways, because your safe actions beautifully strengthen your pure belief, and your quiet belief gently changes your pure reality. Pure faith is absolutely not about safely having all the perfect answers. Pure faith is beautifully about complete trust in God exactly without the quiet answers. You absolutely do not safely need to gently understand everything. You do not deeply need to peacefully control everything. And you do absolutely not need to safely see everything. You just beautifully need to gently believe that God is perfectly working for you even exactly when you absolutely cannot safely see it, even when you quietly cannot feel it, and even when absolutely everything heavily feels deeply impossible, because exactly what feels sadly impossible today can beautifully become your absolute biggest miracle tomorrow. So please, gently stop saying this is deeply impossible, and beautifully start saying, with God, absolutely nothing is safely impossible. And exactly when you truly and beautifully believe that, your heavy fear will safely reduce, and your gentle heart will beautifully become much stronger. Welcome to the final, beautiful step of our gentle journey. Lesson 9. Beautifully do your best and peacefully leave the rest. There is a heavy mistake many gentle people sadly make in this precious life. They painfully think pure faith simply means safely doing absolutely nothing. They quietly think trusting God purely means just sitting and safely waiting, and they sadly think giving absolutely everything to God gently means becoming completely passive. But that is absolutely not true. Real, pure faith is absolutely not gentle laziness or quiet escape. Real, beautiful faith safely says, I will bravely do my gentle part with all my quiet heart, and I will beautifully trust God with the rest. This is exactly the beautiful spiritual way. Bravely work exactly like it depends completely on you, and peacefully pray exactly like it depends purely on God. God beautifully gave you gentle hands to work, a quiet mind to safely think, and pure time, gentle energy, and safe ability. So you absolutely must use exactly what God beautifully gave you. You must safely try, you must gently move, and you must beautifully put in pure effort. But after beautifully doing absolutely all that, you must also safely know exactly where your quiet role beautifully ends. Your beautiful job is pure effort, and God's job is the safe outcome. Your quiet job is gently planting, and God's job is pure, beautiful growth. Your safe job is pure obedience and faithfulness, while God's beautiful job is perfect timing and quiet results. Exactly when you beautifully understand this deeply, you safely stop living with constant, heavy pressure. You gracefully stop feeling exactly like absolutely everything depends only on your tired self, and you safely stop carrying the heavy burden of trying to control every single result. Beautifully doing your best absolutely does not safely mean being perfect or never making gentle mistakes. It beautifully means being completely honest with your pure effort, because pure faith absolutely without gentle effort beautifully becomes empty, quiet words. If you beautifully want God to safely bless your steps, you deeply need to bravely take gentle steps. Pure effort is beautifully a safe form of deep gratitude. Exactly when you beautifully use your gentle strength and your precious time safely well, you peacefully honor the one who gave them exactly to you. Doing your absolute best is beautifully pure worship exactly through safe responsibility. You absolutely can gently do the right beautiful thing and still absolutely not quietly know exactly what will safely happen next. You can beautifully pray and still safely wait, and you can bravely work and still gently be uncertain. That is exactly why you must peacefully leave the beautiful rest safely to God. Leaving the rest gently means beautifully saying, God, I have safely done exactly what I can gently do. Now I beautifully trust you exactly with what I absolutely cannot safely do. Please gently think about this. A quiet farmer does absolutely not gently plant a tiny seed and sadly dig it up every single hour just to safely see if it is beautifully growing. The gentle farmer purely plants it, waters it, safely protects it, and beautifully trusts the quiet process. You absolutely must gently do exactly the same with your precious life. Safely plant your pure effort and beautifully trust God for the quiet growth. Even exactly when things sadly do not gently go your beautiful way, your pure effort is absolutely never wasted exactly when it is beautifully given safely to God. The pure effort safely built deep discipline, gentle patience, and beautiful strength quietly inside you. Sometimes the absolute greatest blessing is exactly the gentle person you beautifully became while safely trusting God. God beautifully sees every quiet prayer, every single gentle tear, and every safe attempt. Absolutely nothing is wasted in God's beautiful, gentle hands. At the gentle end of your quiet day, please safely release absolutely everything. Beautifully say, God, exactly what I absolutely cannot quietly carry anymore, I peacefully place exactly in your beautiful hands. Pure faith safely becomes beautifully real exactly when you gently do your best in the day and sleep deeply peacefully at night, purely because you safely know God is perfectly in control. One beautiful day, you will safely look back and gracefully realize this was exactly the quiet moment you safely stopped trying to control everything and beautifully started trusting God. So tonight, please sleep with pure, gentle peace, not because absolutely all your heavy problems are instantly solved, but beautifully because you safely know God is perfectly in control. And exactly when God is in control, you are deeply safe. Beautifully trust, gently let go, and bravely believe. You are absolutely not quietly alone. You never safely were, and you never beautifully will be. Simply let God safely handle it.